They said it was quick. One step too far, one shoe losing grip, the pond taking what it could hold. No screaming, just the small sound a world makes when it swallows a boy. I try to remember his last full sentence. Not the laughter, not the splash. The sentence. It sits just out of reach, as if the water keeps it for itself. Now the pond looks calm again, a black mirror laid behind the house. People say water washes pain away. This water does not wash. It keeps. When the wind crosses it, little rings bloom and disappear, like breathing that refuses to be seen. Sometimes when I stand there long enough, I feel as if the surface is listening. After the funeral, the world stopped knocking. The casserole dishes were collected. The flowers turned the colour of old paper. The front door learned a new silence. A house after a child is like a throat after crying. Raw, slow, too quiet. Every room has a place where the air feels heavier than the rest. I learn them. The corner by the stair, the hallway outside his door, the square of carpet where he lined up his cars. His room still smells like soap and rain. I open the door each morning, let the smell roll out and touch my face and close it again before the air is done speaking. I tell myself the wet footprints I sometimes see are from my own shoes. But I've stopped wearing shoes inside. It came soft at first, a sound the night invents for itself. I lay still and counted the beats between the cries. 4 heartbeats, then 3, then 1. The hallway felt longer than I remember. Shadows stood where furniture used to be. When I reached his door, the crying stopped. The way a clock stops when you notice it. There on the floorboards, a single wet footprint, another beside it, small, familiar. They did not lead to the window or the door. They led nowhere. As if someone took 2 steps and decided the rest of the world did not exist. I whispered his name to the dark, and the dark gave it back to me, soaked and heavy. He was sitting on the bed, toes hanging above the floor. His hair lay flat against his forehead as if the air had weight. He did not blink. For a moment, every sound folded into one line. The drip, the clock, the weight of my own breath, and then his voice threaded through it. You buried the wrong one. Not angry, not accusing. And then that tiny smile, the one he used when he knew I'd say yes. But something in it belonged to a night without windows. Before I could step closer, he turned his head too far, as though the room's rules were negotiable. A soft patter. A thin line of water falling from his chin to the floor. I blinked and he was gone. The sheet held the print of small hands where he had been sitting. Cold rose from the fabric like fog. The police were kind. They were careful with their eyes. They said the mind loops on itself after loss. It makes copies of the last thing it cannot keep. After they left, the house began its nightly lessons. Some rooms learn to hum. Some learn to hold their breath until I cross the threshold. I walk through slowly to keep the floor from remembering. At the end of the hall is a door I no longer open. Behind it is a sound like someone practicing how to breathe without being told where lungs ought to be. I have started speaking aloud to the empty air, so it will not speak first. I went back to his grave because the house needed me to. The ground above him had settled in the shape of a sigh. There was a darker line where the soil met the stone, as if the stone was sweating. I placed my palm on his name and waited. The granite pulsed slowly once, twice, or maybe that was my own blood asking the world to answer back. Water seeped from the engraved letters, clear and certain, tracing my fingers like a child learning to write. I lay my ear to the dirt. In the hush, from a place that soil does not discuss, came 3 calm knocks. Not frantic, not trapped, patient. On the walk home, the wind followed, wet and warm. In his toy chest, beneath a blanket that never dried, I found a round hand mirror, cracked across like quiet lightning. I lifted it to see my eyes and found the pond instead. The angle was wrong. The room behind me was gone, just the black water, thin rings moving where no stone had fallen. And there in the mirror, beside my reflection, a small figure took my hand. Fingers cool, certain, belonging to someone who expected me to understand. When I pulled away, my reflection did not. It held on and smiled with a mouth I recognized and a meaning I did not. "You buried the wrong one," it breathed. No accusation. A fact too calm to argue with. Since then, my reflection blinks on its own schedule. It is learning me from the outside in. The storm arrived without introduction. Rain pressed itself against the windows like a crowd, and the roof learned a new song. Water makes its own paths. It found the stairs and wrote them downward, spread across photographs, softened ink, lifted corners of drawings that should never feel the weather. By the time I reached his door, the water had choices. Shallow waves turned the hall into a river that forgot its map. He stood in the middle of his room, barefoot, hair lifting as if the air had become a lake. He smiled like children smile when they want you to trust the game. "It's okay, Mommy," he said. "There's room for you too." The water reached my ribs. It was not cold. It carried the scent of night air and damp wood and breath. When I reached toward him, the lights dimmed, and I could hear my heart the way the house had been hearing it all along. Then everything fell quiet. The kind of quiet that erases the edges of rooms. Morning. Dry floors, clean walls, watermarks, no swollen timber, no proof. Only the soft hum of a child at the kitchen table. Daniel sat there, legs swinging, a plate of pancakes arranged in the constellation he loved to make. He looked up and smiled, a perfect copy from a day when the calendar still had meaning. "Good morning, Mommy." I set a glass of milk before him and my hand shook only at the end. He lifted the glass without leaving fingerprints. The police returned because I asked them to. They spoke carefully about trauma, about waking dreams that borrow daylight. I nodded because the house was listening. Now and then he laughs, soundless, like a movie with the volume down. When he blinks, the light delays on his eyes as if deciding whether to stay. Sometimes at the sink, I look up and find him standing in the hallway mirror. At an angle he could not possibly be standing in the doorway behind me. He is never wet anymore, but the air around him smells like a storm waiting for its name. They drained the pond because that is what you do with a problem that insists on being level. A machine drank the water until the earth remembered its own weight. People congratulated the absence. They did not notice the mud moving like slow language. At night, the house has started to time its breathing with mine. If I hold my breath, it waits. If I exhale slowly, the walls go with me. There is a door I do not open, not because I am afraid of what is behind it, but because I am afraid that nothing is, and the humming comes from a place no door can close. Sometimes I wake to find Daniel standing at the side of the bed watching the way sleep wears my face. He smiles and I do not. I let the quiet grow until it has bones. Then I whisper his name into it and listen for the sound it makes when it lands. I sit at the window where rain once rehearsed our future. Outside, the world practices being ordinary. Inside, the glass holds two figures. A mother and a boy, one of us just slightly delayed. He smiles. I do not move, because I am counting the space between our breaths. People say grief is a storm that passes, but storms do not move into your house and memorize your footsteps. Storms do not practice your voice in the dark. Storms do not learn how to smile with your child's mouth. I lower my head to the pain and let the cool travel into my bones. In the reflection, he leans closer as if he is teaching me to breathe the way the pond taught him. Whisper almost kind. You buried the wrong one.